Hey guys, welcome to another interesting geeky video where I'm going to find out which combo works the best with Topaz Denoise AI. So I'm going to do a combination of Silkypix and Topaz Denoise, Affinity Photo and Topaz Denoise, because every single time I go to each of the forum, they all ask what is the workflow exactly and how they look like. Now, when it comes to workflow, I'm not going to show you the workflow because I did basically straightforward automatic mode. My objective here is that how is the color, because remind you, each software render colors differently. There is nothing wrong or right about it. It's all about whether you accept it or not. So I'm going to show you a bunch of photos that I've developed with individual combos, all three. And then I'm going to let you decide which one you like the most. Who knows? By looking at this video, it might help you to take a nice and easy decision, right? So I'm going to start with one at a time. Let's jump into it. This is the original photo. Now, if you ask me why I took that ugly looking photo, this is actually taken from my balcony where a bunch of bird family just chilling, So this is a rare moment. I mean, birds generally don't stand still and definitely don't sit down like that next to your balcony. So I grabbed my camera with a Canon 70D with 70-200 f4, and it was evening. So I had to bump up the ISO to 6400. So this is a ISO 6400 and underexposed. So imagine my challenge to recover that detail to make it look beautiful. So what is the outcome? Are you ready? Let's go. Just to show you how the traditional software looks like. So this is the result of Silkypix Developer Studio Pro noise reduction. Nothing fancy, nothing crazy. This is what I use daily to daily basis for my typical normal ISO photos, such as ISO 100 to ISO, let's say 1600. This is where I usually edit, and it does a very good job. The color is beautiful. We're gonna zoom in about 100%. So clearly you can see that, first of all, have we lost any detail? Absolutely not. In 100% zoom, any photo looks quite ugly. It's quite given, but this is not a clean photo. You can clearly see the blur area looks quite funny, grainy, even after the noise reduction. The branch, overall, this is probably a very good photo for a small print up to for the website. If you have a website or social media, I don't think you'd see any ugly noise. But for professional level, if you are working for National Geographic to any kind of competition, I don't think this photo would be acceptable in my opinion. But when it comes to the color render, the color and the contrast is beautiful, but this is certainly not a clean photo. Remind you, this is an ISO 6400 where I had to even bump up the exposure in post. So not a very good practice in photography in my opinion, but sometime it happens. So let's move on to the next photo. Now, this is the previous photo and that's the next photo. If you notice that there's some magic happen. When it comes to color and contrast and exposure, exactly the same. But this one currently you're looking at, this is a whole lot better. What happened? What did I do? This is where I used Topaz Denoise AI in combination with Silkypix Developer Studio Pro. I'm gonna zoom in quite a bit. Let's say 100%. You can clearly see, first of all, starting with the blur area, because this is where you can see all the ugly noise in general. It's neat, it's clean, it's just fluid. The color is there. There is no ugly, disgusting artifact whatsoever. Now, starting from the bottom, the branch looks nice, and moving up, look at the eye. It's sharp. I mean, thanks to my lens, I captured all the detail. And because it's f4, because that's as low as I could go, so this focused in this region. It didn't focus on the feather, but that's fine. Overall, the photo, it's pretty, it's beautiful, color is nice, it's a clean result. So I'm going to show you the before. This is just done in Silkypix Developer Studio Pro, and this one done in Silkypix Developer Studio Pro without the noise reduction and sharpening, just exposure correction and white balance correction. And then the rest, the TIFF 16-bit file was processed in Topaz Denoise AI. So now you know how it looks like if you want to use it, or if you have it, or if you're thinking about that combo. Now moving on to the next photo. Now this is the ugly one. This is what I don't recommend you to do. So what I did first, I uploaded the raw file directly to Topaz Denoise AI, did a noise reduction, converted to DNG, and edited that DNG into Silkypix Developer Studio Pro. Now, I personally hate it. That's it. I mean, this is just way too plasticky to me. I'm going to zoom in about 100% and give you a tour, let's say. I mean, it just, it doesn't look right. It's something wrong in this photo. It's clean. Yep. It has all the details, but there's some kind of plasticky feeling to it. So it's doesn't look natural at all. Compared to the previous one is just what it meant to be in at ISO 100, let's say. This is a natural looking photo. And the next one, the opposite, from Topaz Denoise to Silkypix, had a whole different story. So no, I don't recommend you that one. Now moving on to the next photo, this is an exciting one too. So this photo is traditionally done in Affinity Photo. So no Topaz Denoise AI. It's what it meant to be, as if you don't have a noise reduction software. So this is a traditionally done in Affinity Photo. I'm gonna zoom in while I'm talking so that you can see the details. So let's take a look at the blur area. So yeah, as expected, a 6400 ISO, where it was already underexposed, had to pull up the exposure a little bit. It's quite expected to have this kind of graininess, yet it looked quite uniformed. I'm genuinely surprised, pleasantly of course, but comparing with the previous photo, doesn't look sharp at all. Although let's not be harsh on Affinity Photo. Overall, the photo is beautiful, it's contrasty, you got all the details. It's just not perfect enough, and you know, I would post it for my social media, but that's about it. I wouldn't sell it, I would say. Now, this photo is done in Topaz, combination of Affinity Photo and Topaz Denoise AI. I'm going to make a video about how I do my workflow with those two, but check this one out. Yes, the color looks different without a doubt, because remember, it is very, very, very important to know that every single photo editing software in the world will render exact same photo very different way. If you do same white balance, same exposure, everything same, yet the color will be different. You can make it same, but you have to work a lot on it. That is the reason why each software are different. Otherwise you would have to just buy one software and just move on with your life, but that doesn't happen, does it? That's why the Lightroom is different than Capture One, which is different than each of the camera's native raw converter, and so on. So you got my point. So don't worry about the color, but we're gonna look at the sharpness and noise reduction. Did it do a good job? So we're gonna zoom in about 100%. Check out the contrast and the detail. My good, the eye here. This is neat, clean, extraordinary. I love it. Look at the blur. It's clean. No weird artifact anywhere. Look at the feather at the back. The branch. Everything looks perfect. This is a perfect photo. This is a perfect edit. Yes, I'm not a big fan of color. I'm actually a big fan of Silkypix Developer Studio Pro, like this one. Comparing with Silkypix Developer Studio Pro and Affinity Photo, yes, this is a perfect photo to me. This is not a beautiful photo to me. This is a perfect photo. It's a whole different story, because perfect photo means that you have the perfect color, contrast, no noise, sharp, and so on. Beautiful photo is something very personal, which means that to me, I personally would prefer the result of Silkypix Developer Studio Pro more than the Affinity Photo. However, if you have Affinity Photo and thinking about Topaz Denoise, you know your answer already. I'm going to give you a final tour of all the combinations so that you can see a final look. So this is our original photo. That's Silky Pix and Topaz Denoise combo. This is Affinity Photo and Topaz Denoise AI combo. And this is Topaz Denoise 2 Silkypix Double Opera Studio Pro combo, which I don't recommend you to do that. I hope that you have your answer. I hope this video gave you some answer. If so, please do let me know at the comment section below. And remember, I'm actually going to come up with the video of the workflow combination with Silkypix Double Opera Studio Pro and Topaz, Canon, Topaz, Affinity Photo and Topaz. So stay tuned. It's going to be a lot more exciting video coming up in future. Look after yourself and bye-bye.